Hello and welcome back. I am Pat Casey, and with me, as always, is my friendly neighborhood reviewer.
Oh, Clayson Samuelson. Oh, Pat, thank you.
I know, I made you the main guy today.
Oh.
You're usually the sidekick, but in my heart, you're the hero.
Oh, thank you. Well, if from that reference you get what we are talking about today, we are going to be talking about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, if you've lived underneath a rock, you might not know anything about this, but to catch you up very quickly, the whole idea here is that for the first time in, forever, I guess? Spider-Man has come back to Marvel in a cinematic form. So Sony...
In his own movie.
Right. Sony owns the rights to Spider-Man.
Yep.
And for the longest time, they've had the rights, and that's where you've got the Tobey Maguire movies, which did very well.
And set the precedent for big box office blockbusters for a superhero.
Yes.
And then you had the Andrew Garfield series.
Then they had the Andrew Garfield series.
Did not take off as well as they wanted.
So, contingent in these Marvel plans, when the Marvels gave out the rights, was that you had to do a film with that character in a certain amount of time. So after the third Spider-Man from Sam Raimi came out and didn't do that well, they were they had a ticking clock over their heads. So they came out with these Andrew Garfield movies, which the first one did very well. Mm-hmm. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 did very well. Was critically panned.
I quite liked it, mainly because I did think his portrayal of Peter Parker was definitely different from Tobey Maguire.
Sure.
It was more in line of what I expected. Plus, Emma Stone is Gwen.
She's easy to look at.
Yes.
The second movie came out and was even worse than the first one, and it didn't do the box office that it needed. So Sony was kind of in a pickle here. So they turned to Marvel and they said, Marvel, can you help us out? What we'll do here is we'll let you use Spider-Man in your MCU universe. Yeah, thank you. We'll let you use Marvel in your MCU universe. We keep the rights completely, but you can write the movie and you can kind of let the MCU kind of be influenced. Like, let us play around with that a little bit. And Marvel was like, yeah, let us fix Spider-Man for you. So that's why sort of the double meaning here of Spider-Man Homecoming, because it is a big deal that it came back to Marvel. So there's a lot of hype and circumstance behind this movie.
And a lot of expectations.
Exactly. So Clayson, did this hype pay off?
I definitely think so. It was a definite homecoming for the character. We're not talking about some super college guy who happens to have powers or anything like that. We are back to a high school, nerdy, awkward Peter Parker just trying to do good.
Right.
And I need to give credit to Tom Holland, who plays Peter Parker / Spider-Man. He did an amazing job with the role. Yes, he is 21, but that's how acting works. But damn, did I not feel like I was in high school the whole time I was watching this movie in the good way. And he just knocked it out of the park with his quippy humor, with trying to do good, and he had some great range in a lot of scenes. It was just really cool to see.
Yep, I 100% agree with you. This is the first time where Spider-Man has been exactly what Spider-Man is supposed to be, which is a teenage kid, and they really play up that whole, just like how hard it would be to be a hero and be in high school at the same time.
And it sets a very good tone for the movie as a whole. Right. And I mean this in the best possible way. It's very juvenile.
Yes.
Not that it's like crass or just not intelligent or adult.
Right.
It goes through the same problems that teenagers and kids are going through.
Exactly.
And you really feel that. And it shows through with their casting with Tom Holland and Zendaya, who's a famous Disney Channel actress. And just the range everybody gives you, you really felt, yeah, these are kids going through their problems, and immediate connection with so many of these characters.
The whole, and this is not meant as a slight to the movie, but the movie is very focused on Peter Parker and Spider-Man. This is almost like a Peter Parker movie.
Yes.
Right? Because the action and stuff, I will say that there's not an action scene in here that would, usually in the other Spider-Mans, there's at least one set piece that you could say that's like the set piece, whether it's the Doc Ock
train
sequence or, you know, any of the when Spider-Man in the first movie, the first Raimi,
or the skyscraper from the third one.
Right.
So
there's a set piece to base around it. There was I could say pretty soundly that there's not really a set piece in here that you could say is stand out. They're not bad.
No, but I like to think the big one, it's not a set piece for Spider-Man. It's for Peter Parker.
Yes, and I think we were on the same page with that. The most tension and thrilling part of this movie takes place in a car where characters are just talking to each other.
Right, and then towards the climax of the film, in the final moments, it's more a Peter Parker choice, not a Spider-Man choice.
Yeah.
And again, Tom Holland just kept knocking it out of the park.
Exactly. He is fantastic. And I think we all knew that going into Civil War, where Spider-Man appears in Civil War for like 5 minutes and is, during that time, I think you could say that's like the best Spider-Man movie that we've had to date. It's really refreshing to see him as a kid and then in this movie, you get him juxtaposed against the Avengers sort of thing.
Yep.
So you have these adults, right? And you have this kid, and you could definitely see the difference of him being like, I want to do more, but not being able to. He's not messing up on purpose, but he's still learning. Exactly.
In the movie, Happy is his handler. He can't call Tony and talk with Iron Man or anything. He has to call Happy. And Happy still has all of his other jobs and duties to take care of.
Right.
And so a lot of the time he's just brushing him off. You know, he calls, leaves messages. Hey, you know, help this woman cross the street. She bought me a churro.
That is the best part of this movie, in my humble opinion. That is exactly the difference. And I don't mean to pee on DC, besides Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman did this as well. But there's a whole section of this where Spider-Man is just helping people.
Yeah.
He's helping. There's a scene where he's helping a lady just direction-wise.
Well, and
he's just like pointing directions out to her. But like
they brought it up. You know, they kept mentioning. You know, we keep having problems. Either our government's betraying us, or we have aliens from outer space. And Peter doesn't have. He's not going up against that. No. He wants to. He desperately wants to.
Right.
And that's his conflict through most of this. Is like, no, let me do this. Let me be bigger. Let me help. You know, I helped there. And it's so good. So, yes. Pat, let me ask you, what did you think about the rest of the cast?
Well, I think this is probably the second best villain that we've ever had in the MCU.
Okay.
I think Michael Keaton plays the Vulture.
Yeah.
And he is fantastic. From the beginning, they really ground it. They do the stuff that a lot of the other Marvel movies, that's like their one fault, is that they make the villain relatable.
Mm-hmm.
They give you a reason to get behind him, sort of, to at least understand, like, I'm doing this because of this.
Marvel gives every villain a human side to them, when
right.
DC's a little bit more willing to just be like, big bad.
In the other movies, like, for example, like Ronan the Accuser in Guardians of the Galaxy, he is bad because he's bad.
Right.
You know? You don't spend a lot of time with them. You put on a crap ton of makeup on these guys, and you just kind of send them off. The Thor villains are a lot like that, like Malekith and stuff. They're just villains to be villains. They have like a vague evil plan, and that's it. This is Michael Keaton being just knocking out of the park, like you said with Tom Holland, but like he is equally charming, where you want to get behind him, and menacing. He can turn it on a dime when he needs to.
So good.
So you kind of want to get behind him, like, even they set the movie up as sort of like they frame it with the Vulture, so you kind of go back in time, and then you go a little bit forward in time towards the end with the Vulture as well. So you have like the Vulture plays a major, you know, I really
he's definitely bookending this story.
I hope that they had locked him up for a couple, because I would love to see the Vulture come back.
It would definitely be appealing.
Yeah.
The best scenes are between Peter, Spider-Man, and the Vulture. Like, without a doubt, those are the best in the movie.
Mary Jane's okay. They upped her up. Aunt May is okay.
Those are
upped
two
her.
very different ladies,
I know. They both have M's for names. She's okay. Marissa Tomei plays her all right. She doesn't have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Zendaya's great.
Yep.
She's fun. All the kids are kids, which is the best thing that you could say about this movie.
Well, and you could relate them to, oh, I remember meeting that kid. I remember hanging out with that kid. I remember being that kid.
Exactly.
Like, they were, although very archetypal, so good.
Yes.
In a not stereotypical, just solid representations.
Yeah, there are kids, and what they do with Flash Thompson, which isn't really a big spoiler, but in prior, like, Spider-Man, like, he's a jock villain, and Peter's a nerd. But they updated it in a way that bullies now, or the bullies that I remember, were just regular dudes who were just kind of dicks, and they were dicks for no reason, and that's just how they were. That's exactly what Flash Thompson is in this movie. He is not like a big brooding. He's not going to beat him up or shove him in the locker, but he's
the rich kid, has the nice car,
exactly.
He wears 2 polos, pops the collars.
Exactly. Yeah. And the diversity in this movie. I'll show that. This is what New York looks like.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not... They did an excellent job of having a mix of people all together in this school.
Yep.
Like, there's... I mean, of course, the 2 leads are white males, but, like...
Everybody around them is very different.
And they all have stuff to do. They're not just there to be damsels in distress, you know? So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I guess the only down thing I would say is that the action scenes are a little...
It's very CG heavy at points, and so you get taken out of it a little bit when it's more grounded. I know that's rough to say when you have the Vulture as your villain whose whole thing is flying, and Spider-Man who's spinning around, but when it wasn't 100% CG, it was really good.
I think that his stuff was fine. I liked how they used the Vulture, like how he fought and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like how
and his design.
He is not an old man in a green jumpsuit. It makes sense, especially in the greater MCU.
Right. So I guess this is a good enough time. There are a couple spoilers that we want to talk about.
So before we go over to spoilers, if you haven't gotten it by now, we do both highly recommend it. It's been doing great and deserves to be getting this praise. So
I think it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I'm just going to throw that out there. Yes, I liked it more than I liked God 2.
Oh, that's some shade. Yeah, no, I can see that. Yeah. I can see that.
All right, so first things first. There's
Spoiler. Spoiler.
There is 2 post-credit scenes. One, I think, is the funniest one that they've ever done.
It is very on the nose.
Yes. With Captain America, and the second one is introduce us to the Scorpion.
Yep.
Which is probably going to be the next villain in that Peter's going to have to face.
Yep.
But I like that it's more of a coda on the Vulture. That the Vulture, the way that I interpreted it, is that the Vulture looks at it like Peter Parker saved his life and saved his daughter's life. And it's kind of like I was a bad guy, I did some bad things, but I'm not evil, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a redemptive arc to him, and it really bookmarks the movie really nicely.
Yeah, very nicely.
Any other, like, Easter eggs or stuff that
I do need to say, Iron Man is super played up in the trailers. Like, the director has come out and said they did extra scenes to put in the trailers just because they wanted more.
Well, the extra shot of them flying.
Yeah, they wanted just more to show, and that was both the studios going, we need this. And because I don't know why you would be afraid of a Spider-Man movie not doing well, but Tony's role in the movie is very poignant, and it's not overblown.
Yeah, he's not in the movie as much as they made it out to be.
It's not Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Right.
So we were kind of getting worried getting there.
Yeah,
so.
The marketing was like, did you know that Iron Man was in this movie?
Iron Man's in this movie!
Iron Man! Yeah, but no, he's only got maybe like 10 minutes of screen time probably.
But it's all appropriate in how they want his interactions with Peter. It's not his interactions with Spider-Man that really paid off, that or the trailers.
Right.
It's his interactions with Peter that are very good and really critical to how his character is going to move through this arc. So.
Yep. Love the Civil War movie by Peter Parker in the beginning. It matches up pretty good to Civil War if you were to watch them back to back. Kind of the things that happen there. There was one more thing I wanted to mention.
I like the setup that Michelle, played by Zendaya, is the setup for Mary Jane.
Sort of. I think they gave her. Basically, she says that my friends call me MJ. Kevin Feige has come out and said that she's not Mary Jane Watson, but this could be their.
They've definitely already changed enough things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
right?
That this is enough of a change that it's not going to be, the typical 100% redhead. But I think it's enough.
Yeah,
it's still enough of a fake. But no, I can get behind that.
Right. This is the MCU's MJ. It's not going to be like the redheaded bombshell that she's in the comics or in the first 3 Spider-Man movies. But this could be his MJ.
Yeah.
You might not see her as MJ, but this is their MJ. And, of course, the thing that I marked out for in the theater, when they reveal that Miles Morales is in the MCU, I, jumped out of my seat. Danny Glover is in the movie, and he plays the Prowler.
He plays a gentleman
who is
who becomes the Prowler.
But the Prowler, historically in the comic books, is the uncle of Miles Morales, who is the half-black Latino Spider-Man that was created because people wanted Danny Glover as Spider-Man, so that's kind of like a cool little nod there.
Yeah, it's layers upon layers.
And he's out there somewhere, so I can't wait. You know that you're going to get a Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. It will be cool.
Yeah.
My last thing is, I think they did such a good job separating this setup from the Sam Raimi one. I don't think you need to do too much to separate it from the Andrew Garfield one because it just didn't have enough purchase with everybody. I liked that this was him going through the teenage awkwardness of social life and not the teenage awkwardness of, oh, my body is doing strange things.
Right. It was more about...
And I really appreciated that because I think that trope has just been done so much over the past 15 years or so, especially with horror movies and stuff like that.
Sure, and they did a great job of it being the suit, he gets in the suit, and the suit, he thinks that the suit is what's helping him when he's got to find it. It has that great Spider-Man moment from, I think it's Amazing Spider-Man 135 or something, where there's a panel of him lifting up the heaviness. That is 100% Spider-Man right there, where they even have the iconic look into the puddle and half my face is Spider-Man,
right?
Half my face is Peter Parker.
It's so good. Everybody in it was great.
Yes.
It pays a lot of homage to the original Spider-Man content, and it sets up very well to be its own thing.
Yep, I look forward to seeing what he's up to junior year. I'm sure he's got the Scorpion is out there, so I'm sure we'll see that, and he's got to go fight Thanos next. So we'll see how that goes.
Patrick, where can the lovely ladies and gentlemen out there find you?
Well, you can find me at GleamTeam_Pat1. You can also find me doing a podcast now
With who?
With this gentleman.
Oh, yeah, that is me.
Yeah, you can find that. It's on Binge This. You can find that on iTunes. There's a Binge This Pod Twitter page. So go there.
Find us on Facebook.
Exactly.
We're sharing articles and everything that we can relating to binging.
Sure.
Like we just shared, Hulu now has Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is back in your life. You can find me at all of those Binge This items and at Kovo375 on Twitter.
Yep, and of course you can find us this on the webpage for Gleam Team, Facebook page, on our YouTube page. Be sure to comment, like, tell us if you think that we're wrong. What's your favorite Spider-Man?
I'd be a little concerned if you thought we were wrong. So,
yeah, I would too.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep watching.
You didn't know it. You didn't have a sign off there, did you?
I don't have a sign off, Pat. That's why you just
Smile and wave. Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a Spider-Man does. What is? Did you mark out when that happened at the beginning of the movie? Where they're like, Oh my god. Yeah, that was great.
Have a good one.
At least it wasn't that Chad Kroeger song.
Oh.
And I show you that hero.